Hey everyone, Lee Papa, Rude Pundit here. So this past weekend, there was a big old conference in West Palm Beach, Florida, which is a totally awesome place to have a conference in July. If you want to wear a suit in 100% humidity and 95 degrees, that's where you want to go. So it was for Turning Point Action, which is the grassroots organizing wing of giant forehead Charlie Kirk's conservative brainwashing group. I mean, all the usual assholes, prostitutes, and morons spoke, but the most curious speech was probably given by hungry bridge troll Marjorie Taylor Greene, who, believe it or not, is actually a member of Congress from Georgia's 14th district up in the northwest corner, the Appalachian region, where part of the movie Deliverance was filmed, because of course it was. What Greene said was, well, it was surprising. All right, before we get started here, I just got to point out this is the Right Side Broadcasting Network, and they have to. They are advertising gold, precious metals, or whatever, and you get free gold with a qualifying purchase. Because nothing says legit news organization like framing your image with advertisement for gold, and nothing makes you seem like you actually care about the truth than when you have their text Trump to that number to get some kind of free discount on gold. Oh man, the scams just go on and on. All right, that's enough. Let's watch.
Lyndon B. Johnson is very similar to Joe Biden. How are they the same? They're
Come on,
both
say they both
Democrat
have giant
socialists.
cocks.
Lyndon B. Johnson was the majority leader in the Senate. Does that sound familiar?
No, it doesn't sound familiar, Marjorie. It does, because Joe Biden was never the Senate majority leader. All right, sorry, let's just keep going.
He was vice president to Kennedy. Joe was vice president to Obama.
Oh my God.
He was appointed as the president after JFK was assassinated. Then he was elected.
So, in other words, absolutely nothing like Biden.
His big socialist programs were the Great Society. The Great Society were big government programs to address education, medical care, urban problems, rural poverty, transportation, Medicaid.
How the fuck is this a bad thing? Does she understand anything she's talking about?
The Office of Economic Opportunity, and big labor and labor unions. Now, LBJ had the Great Society, but Joe Biden had Build Back Better, and he still is working on it. The largest public investment in social infrastructure and environmental programs that is actually finishing what FDR started, that LBJ expanded on, and Joe Biden is attempting to complete. Socialism.
Okay, just because you use the word social in there doesn't mean you get to call it socialism. And I believe we should just point out here that Marjorie Taylor Greene got $183,000 in a PPP loan during the pandemic, and it was forgiven. And you know what that's called when your loan is forgiven by the government from the money that you got from the government? Socialism.
Meanwhile, we are now $32 trillion in debt. With record high homelessness, 40-year record inflation, we're losing the US dollar as the #1 world currency. We're losing our freedoms. Our government is one big fat bloated machine.
All right. This, enough. Okay, I know it's fun to toss around lies and bullshit, Margie, Marburg, whatever. But let me throw some facts out here for you. See, Franklin Roosevelt, he actually had a fondness for rural Georgia. Yeah. When he was suffering from polio, he started to go to a place called Warm Springs, which is in the southwest area of your state. You might not have heard of it, but because he went there a great deal, he actually began to understand the connection between, the different things that were going on in Georgia, the poverty and the economic, the agricultural conditions and the social and education problems. And so, he kind of knew what was going on in Georgia, which I don't think you actually do. Now, the New Deal Georgia probably benefited from the New Deal as much or more than almost any other state. Yeah, yeah. And you know what district benefited from the New Deal particularly well? Yeah, yeah, right up there in Northwest Georgia, your district, Marjorie. Yeah, so do you like Mountain State Park? Yeah, that was constructed by the Civilian Conservation Corps, the CCC, in the 1930s. Over in Dalton, the city hall there was built by the Works Progress Administration, as was the post office in Somerville, and the really beautiful mural inside of there called Georgia Countryside. Yeah, that was funded by the New Deal. Chickamauga and Chattanooga National Military Park, right up there at the border in your district at Fort Oglethorpe. Yeah, that was redone because of funds from the New Deal. Oh yeah. Oh, by the way, the Tennessee Valley Authority. Yeah, you got tens of thousands of people that get their electricity up there from the hydroelectric dams that are run by the TVA. Oh, and by the way, the University of Georgia, where you went to college, yeah, the New Deal rescued the joint during the Great Depression. FDR made sure that the school got millions of dollars to stay alive. So, you directly benefited from the New Deal, as did all of us. Well, but what about the Great Society? What about LBJ? Yeah. Well, about 100,000 people in your district are on Medicare or Medicaid. And I know you don't want your kids in your area to be educated, but there were more schools built because of the Great Society. And because of the Appalachian Regional Development Act, it made life so much better for the people in your district. Yeah, the percentage of people in your district who were below the poverty line in 1960, 38.5%. In 1970, after the Great Society programs and the War on Poverty programs were going, it went down to 16.9%. Yeah, poverty was cut by half. And you keep saying you give a shit about fetuses being born. Well, in 1960, the infant mortality rate in your area was 29.1 deaths per thousand. In 1975, again, after the War on Poverty and Great Society programs were in place, 16.4. Nearly 50% fewer babies were dying because of the Great Society programs and because of LBJ. But you know who the fucking infant is here? You are. Because where you see socialists and evil federal government agents, what you should be seeing and what you should be thanking are LBJ and FDR for giving a shit about your state. You should be thanking them for roads and for schools built, for lives saved and healthier lives, for electricity to keep your goddamn gym in business. You assholes want to tear it all down and go back to the Stone Age. Well, I guess that's appropriate because you look like Barney Rubble from the Flintstones. All right. See you next week.